Hey guys, Jeff and Paper Gary back at it again on a beautiful Friday, November the 7th here in Oklahoma. Beautiful weather outside, we've got the doors open and I've been really busy this morning. So took a bunch of cardboard to recycling, went by the doctor's office, went by Lowe's to get some material to build this cradle, which I understand is going to be a huge help in putting the skeleton inside there and clecoing this skin on. As you can see, as far as clecos go, I stocked up. Very fortunate to work just a few miles down from Brown Aviation Tool and stopped by on my way home from work yesterday and picked up 500-ish new clecos. So if you remember, we were having some troubles with some of those sticking and not clamping well. 250 of the copper colored ones, which are the -4 rivet size, 250 of the silver ones, which are for our -3 rivets, and then some of these drawdown clecos. And a friend of mine recommended these to me. Said they can hold a little bit tighter than your average cleco. So in areas where we had this spar stack up problem where we needed kind of a little bit extra gripping force, I got some of these. You can kind of tighten them down by wing nut and cinch those things down a little bit tighter. So I'm sure those will come in handy in the future, and you can never have enough clecos. So getting a little late in the day here, probably 9:30, 10 o'clock-ish, but we're going to get at it and pick up where we left off on getting that skeleton clecoed together and then getting installed in this skin. So let's see how it goes.
So as mentioned in the intro here, did get some new tools and I built this cradle, which was a huge help. Now, I do have some questions about this cradle that I'm going to pose to you, the viewing audience, as well as my technical advisor. I built this in a way that let gravity kind of work with me and hold that skin open, as you can see here in the video. Thinking that holding that open would make it easier to fit this skeleton, which you see me clecoing together now, down in all the way. And so the previous struggle that we had here was getting that skeleton to fit all the way down inside up into the leading edge like it should. And so I'm reading the instructions here about rounding the front flanges of that, and you'll see me drop off camera and hit that Scotch-Brite wheel to really get a little bit more aggressive on rounding the flange ends so that fits in there. But the cradle, some people design it so that it holds the skin tighter against the ribs when they're clecoing it together. So I'm a little torn. What I'm concerned with is when I use this method and I clecoed in there, I could see the flanges of those ribs pulling a little bit as I put the cleco in there, and I'm worried about deformation. And that is something that will become very evident when I uncleco all this to go do priming and whatever else, and I'll see and check it with a square. But that will be a question, right, to ask of how should I really build these cradles? To hold it open or hold it closed?
Quick station break here to make a few observations. First, the cradle, super helpful. Absolutely a must. If you're going to get to this stage of the game and think that you're going to do this without the cradle or should do this without the cradle, think again. Spend the $10 or grab your scrap lumber and the half hour that it takes to put this thing together. It definitely makes things so much easier. Second thing, reading through 5.2 in the instructions and how it tells you to radius and round all the edges of the flanges, I thought I did that. I wasn't quite as aggressive as I should have been, I think. So I went back to the Scotch-Brite wheel, put a little bit more curve on those things, and it made a huge difference. I will also note the difference between brand new clecos and older clecos. So the ones that I just bought, a lot of tension on those things, really strong. Some of the older ones that I have, kind of weak, really easy to squeeze. So if you're buying used clecos or you have a batch of old clecos, might want to think about replacing those with some newer ones.
So I'm going to give a bit of foreshadowing here because it's kind of important. It's hard to see in that spar that's in the middle of the skin there. It's only punched about halfway, right? So the outboard half of that spar is pre-punched. The inboard portion of it gets match drilled to the skin. And that's going to come into play a little bit later as I get closer to clecoing this all together and starting to put the most inboard ribs into the horizontal stabilizer. So putting a lot of clecos in there to kind of hold that skin, and here I am with those parts in place. And you can see right here, very important in the trailing edge spar, or the very top spar where I just put that C-clamp, there are no clecos in there, and that is a mistake. So without the holes in the forward spar, which is in the middle of that area, because again, they're not pre-punched, they get match drilled later. There is some ability for that spar to move slightly, right? There's a little bit of flex to it. And when I was putting this all together, and I did not have the clecos in the top skin or in the skin on the trailing edge to hold that spar into place, there was some shift in there. So I put these things all in, I marked the holes, took them all out, cleaned out the chips, put it all back together, and then it tells you to match drill the rib to the skin. When I did that, I observed that the holes that I marked were not lining up in the pre-punched holes, and for whatever reason, that did not trigger my brain to stop and take a second look at what was going on. And I proceeded to go drill those holes with the spars not in the exact place, which means the rib was not in the exact place, which means all the holes that I drilled, that match drilled, are about a 1 hole diameter off. And so I'll get into some explanation about that here a little bit in the video, but right here is where I'm making that mistake, still blissfully unaware. And then it dawns on me here shortly thereafter. So this was a great learning experience, relatively inexpensive, so I'm not going to cry about it too much, but we'll go into a little bit more detail here with Lifetime Jeff.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about what just happened. I was feeling really good today. I had a piece that looked like an airplane part, and I was rocking right along. And one of these steps called to put this HS0005 rib back in place, clamp it, and then match drill it. Somewhere in there, I failed to cleco the aft spar to the skin, and dimensionally that moved my rib out of place just a little bit. And when I then match drilled the skin and realized that mistake, all the holes are off. They're off about 1 hole diameter. So the diameter of the 1 hole, a number 40 drill, which makes that piece garbage. So this is going to have to come out, and I'm going to have to buy a new one and figure out how to properly match drill that in place. So that's unfortunate. Going to slow me down a little bit, but not going to stop me. I think I understand this a lot better, and I can start working on the other side. This is the left side, so we'll take a short break here, order a part, and start working on the right side. All right, after a brief break to order a new rib, we're going to get started on the right side. So it's the same process that we just went through, only in reverse, and hopefully this time we don't make the same mistakes. So get ready, here we go again.
So the process isn't really in reverse, it's just the right side versus the left side. Very much the same process. Well, I'm going through here, I'm trying to better understand exactly the problems or mistakes that led up to the mistake I made on the left side, of course, so that I don't repeat that. And I'm pretty certain it focuses around having that rear spar clecoed to the skin to make sure that it is not sagging, because that kind of sets the whole dimensional part stack up. So with the spar properly clecoed to the skin, the aft inboard rib gets properly clecoed to the spar, which then holds the forward spar in place, which then makes room for the forward rib. So it's all that big part stack up, and there's that doubler and the 810 and 814 bent angle brackets in between there. So working through that, and I'll probably actually go into the garage today and double check that just to make sure that, hey, what I saw was legit. I did in fact screw up this part. I'm not unnecessarily ordering new parts, and making sure that is all fine and dandy. So with that, we'll keep progressing on this side. Now, one weird thing that I ran into here is there is one cleco that I just couldn't get the hole to line up on when it comes to the forward and aft ribs, where they mate to the forward spar about in the, not quite the center of that wing, but you'll see that row of clecos here that are running the length of the horizontal stab. right about there, you'll see me in there with a pick trying to get things to align. For whatever reason, it's not lining up. I'm a little hesitant to just go and match drill that in place now without taking it all apart to make sure that there isn't just something bent or out of shape or out of whack there. So I will make a note to go check that out as I disassemble that, because all of this gets unclecoed, and then I think there's some priming prep and everything that we're going to go do on the inside. And then it'll get reclecoed together later when we start to go finally drive rivets here. So just a point that I'm going to have to go watch to make sure that everything is kosher there, and if need be, hit it with a reamer so that it's aligned, because it's not far off. It's just a tiny bit off. The rest of this is pretty much the same as what we saw before. I do believe that I need to go order a lot more of these, maybe not a lot more, but a little bit more of these end clamps. They're very, very useful, especially those spring-loaded ones that you can just use with your hand. And they have a nice rubber kind of jaws on them so they don't mark up the material. And they hold pretty tight. So those are terribly convenient because it's a one-hand operation. You don't have to worry about trying to pick those things up with Cleco pliers or using a two-hand thing. So that's just about it, guys. Gonna continue working on this, and then we'll be getting into another garage day build here pretty soon, and then I'm off for a work trip for a little while. So gonna keep things progressing. You'll hear me hit the outro here in just a second, and hope to see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching. So all in all, this was not a bad day in the garage. I did have some lessons learned in screwing up a part, but that's okay. The new part is ordered. I think it was like $35 to get it here, so it'll be a little bit of delay of game, but that's all right. It was really, really good to get something that looked like an airplane part. So we talked previously about how slowly this process moves, and I'm really trying to be okay with that. But today was great because I saw parts that looked like my elevator, or excuse me, my horizontal stabilizer. So really happy with the way things turned out overall, making good progress, and looking forward to the next build session when I can get in the garage and keep working on this horizontal stab. Until next time, friends, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and share and comment, and take care of yourselves and each other. Jeff and Paper Gary out.